No one ever tells you that life doesn't get easier with age. It just gets quieter. But not all quiet means peace. Sometimes it's the silence of feeling forgotten, the silence of days that blend into each other, the silence of a heart that stopped feeling excited, and conversations that no longer come. You've lived long. You've raised families. You've worked hard, sacrificed, endured, and adapted. But somewhere along the way, whereas many of us start making small choices, quiet ones, that slowly take life away from us without warning. We don't notice these choices at first, until one day we do. It might be a birthday with no phone calls, a doctor's visit that feels more serious than usual, or a quiet afternoon when you suddenly wonder, is this really how it ends? This video isn't here to blame you. It's here to help you see what still can be changed. Because these mistakes, the ones that slowly ruin our later years, don't come with big warnings. They come quietly, in habits and beliefs in silence. And if we're not paying attention, we wake up one day having given away the joy, the freedom, and the dignity we still deserve. But today, that changes. Because today, we're going to uncover the 9 fatal mistakes that quietly destroy your life in old age, and how to stop them before they go any further. Let's get one thing clear. Growing older is not the problem. In fact, aging is a gift. It means you made it. You've survived what others didn't. But aging without intention, that's something else entirely. That's when we start to drift. That's when the spark goes dim. And often, we don't even know it's happening. This video isn't here to scare you. It's here to gently show you what might be holding you back, without you even realizing it. Because if you've ever felt bored, invisible, or disconnected from joy, it's not because you're old. It's because somewhere along the way, you stop feeling like the author of your own life. The good news is, you can take that power back. You can choose differently. You can shift the story starting right now. We're going to walk through 9 fatal mistakes that slowly, quietly, take over the lives of too many people as they age. And more importantly, we'll talk about how to break free from them. Not with grand gestures, but with small moments of awareness, of courage, of honesty. And by the end, I hope you feel something stir inside you. Because your life is still yours, and it's not too late to claim it. Mistake 1. Believing passion dies with age. One of the most damaging beliefs we carry into old age is the idea that passion has an expiration date. Once we hit a certain number, 60, 70, or 80, it's time to pack away the dreams, the desires, the creativity, and just settle. That belief doesn't come out of nowhere. It's fed to us from the outside. People stop asking about our interests. They stop inviting us into new experiences. Even our own families begin to treat us like we've finished the story. But here's the truth. They're wrong. Passion doesn't disappear with age. It fades from neglect. When we stop doing things that light us up, when we stop giving ourselves permission to feel excited, curious, alive, the fire doesn't die. It simply dims. And the longer we let it stay dim, the easier it is to believe that it was never there to begin with. Maybe you used to love music, or painting, or gardening. Maybe you had a dream of traveling, writing a book, learning a language, dancing, starting something new. But you told yourself, it's too late. That version of me is gone. But what if she's not? What if he's just waiting for you to come back? You see, passion doesn't belong to the young. It belongs to the willing. They are willing to feel again, to care again, to risk being terrible at something new, just for the joy of trying. And yes, passion can look different with age. It might be quieter, slower, deeper, but it's still powerful. It still nourishes the soul. It still makes you feel like you matter, because you do. I once knew a man who picked up the piano at 74. He could barely read music. His fingers were stiff. But every morning, he sat at the keys and played. Badly at first, then better. And one day, I asked him why he started so late. He smiled and said, "Because for the first time, no one's expecting anything from me." I get to do this just for me. That's the beauty of passion in old age. It's finally free from performance. It's not about being the best. It's about being alive. So if there's something in you that still sparks at the thought of painting, writing, walking through a forest, dancing in the living room, picking up a dusty dream, listen to that spark. Feed it, water it, let it grow. Because the moment you believe your passion is gone, you start living like you're already gone, too, and you're not. Mistake 2. Depending emotionally on your children? There's a quiet kind of heartbreak that many older adults live with. It doesn't come from illness or finances. It comes from waiting for a phone call, waiting for a visit, waiting for someone to remember that you're still here, and often that someone is your own child. We love our children deeply. We raise them, protect them, pour every ounce of ourselves into their well-being. So it's only natural to want that connection to continue, even when they're grown. But here's where it gets dangerous, when our emotional well-being depends entirely on them. When our sense of worth, joy, or purpose is tied to how often they call, how much they visit, or whether they show the same kind of care we once gave them. This dependency often starts small. It hurts a little when they forget a birthday. A little disappointment when plans get canceled. But over time, that pain grows. And without realizing it, we begin measuring our value by their attention. And when they're busy, distracted, or distant, we don't just feel lonely, we feel invisible. Here's the truth. Your children may love you, but they cannot be your only source of emotional fulfillment. They have their own lives, pressures, families, and struggles. And while it's fair to want connection, it's also important to build a life where you are more than just someone's parent. Because when you rely too heavily on them, you set yourself up for constant disappointment. Not because they don't care, but because they can never fill a space that was meant to be shared with many parts of life: friendship, purpose, passion, self-love, and even solitude. Let me ask you something gently. When was the last time you did something purely for yourself? Not to please anyone, not to stay busy, but because it filled your heart. When was the last time you reached out to someone outside your family, just to connect? You are still a full person, not just a mother, not just a father. And your emotional world deserves more than waiting for a message that may or may not come. Build your own rhythms. Find joy that doesn't depend on someone else showing up. Because when you do, something powerful happens. You stop resenting the people you love. You stop feeling abandoned, and you begin relating from fullness, not from emptiness. It's okay to miss your children. But don't disappear while you wait for them to remember you. You deserve to be remembered by yourself first. If you're still here and these insights are hitting home, give me a number 2 in the comments. New to the channel. Consider subscribing and ringing the bell so you don't miss out. Your engagement fuels our mission to inform and inspire. Mistake 3. Neglecting the body because it's too late. Anyway, somewhere along the journey of aging, many people begin to believe a dangerous lie, that taking care of their body no longer matters. They tell themselves, what's the point? I'm already old. They skip meals, stay inactive, ignore aches, let their sleep habits fall apart, and slowly let go of the care they once gave to their own well-being. At first, it looks like acceptance, like surrendering to nature. But in truth, it's a form of giving up, a quiet form, one that no one talks about. But you can feel it when getting out of bed gets harder, climbing stairs feels impossible, when your clothes don't fit the same way anymore, and when looking in the mirror becomes something you avoid. This isn't about vanity, it's about dignity. Because the way you treat your body sends a message to your spirit. And when you neglect it long enough, your spirit starts to believe it no longer matters either. Here's the thing. Your body doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be young, but it does need to be loved. It needs attention, movement, nourishment, nest, not for performance, but for presence, so that you can show up for your own life with strength, steadiness, and clarity. And no, it's not too late. There are people in their 80s walking every day, dancing slowly in their kitchens, lifting light weights in their living rooms, or cooking with intention just to nourish themselves. And they're not doing it to live forever. They're doing it to live better, right now. Maybe no one told you this, but your body listens to how you treat it. It responds. Even small efforts, like stretching in the morning, drinking more water, walking a little farther each week, can reignite something inside you. A sense of agency, a sense of control, a quiet kind of pride. Because when you take care of your body, you start to remember that you're still here, still capable of pleasure, of energy, of clarity, and that can change everything. You begin holding your head a little higher. You begin making different choices, not out of fear, but out of self-respect. So if you've stopped trying, if you've told yourself, it's too late for me, I'm here to tell you, you're wrong. It's not too late. It's just time to return to yourself. You only get one body in this lifetime. Don't spend your last years treating it like an afterthought. Mistake 4. Hoarding money but starving life. There's nothing wrong with being careful with money, especially when you've worked hard your whole life to earn it. Saving is wise, being responsible is admirable. But somewhere along the way, many older adults start turning their savings into a shield. Not a tool for living, but a fortress built out of fear. You tell yourself, I need to hold on to every penny. What if something happens? And that fear begins to shape your decisions. You stop going out. You stop treating yourself. You ignore small comforts that once made you feel alive. You clip coupons for food but starve your soul in silence. And you begin to believe that safety is more important than joy. But here's the hard truth. Money that never gets used is just numbers. It's not safe. It's not love. It's not comfortable. It's just potential that never touched your life. Too many people die with a bank account full of security and a heart full of regret. They look back and realize they could have taken that trip, bought that painting, invited friends to dinner, learned that new skill, or simply lived a little bigger. But they didn't, because fear was louder than desire. Now, this isn't about being reckless. It's not about spending everything. It's about remembering what the money was for in the first place. Not to bury it, but to use it. To enrich your final chapters, to buy back presents, to experience something that reminds you you're still living. Money is not just for emergencies. It's also for beauty, for rest, for generosity, for connection, for comfort. And yes, for small, quiet joy. Even if that means fresh flowers by your bed, or a warm pastry from your favorite cafe, or hiring someone to help with tasks that drain your energy. Ask yourself gently, are you living like a prisoner of your own savings? Are you guarding your money so tightly that life can't get in? Because when you starve life to protect your wealth, you begin to shrink. Your world gets smaller, your spirit starts to dim, and you trade the richness of experience for the illusion of control. But you don't need to do that. Use what you've earned. Enjoy what you've saved. Let your life be touched by the work you once did. That is not a waste. That is honoring the past by living fully in the present. You've already paid the price. Don't forget to enjoy what you bought. Still absorbing these insights and enjoying the video? Confirm your presence with a number 4 in the comments. Mistake 5. Thinking it's too late to start over. There's a quiet belief that settles in as we get older. A belief that says, I've missed my chance. It doesn't shout, it whispers. You hear it when you consider trying something new, but then stop yourself. You feel it when a part of you wants to change, but another part says, what's the point? This belief doesn't just stop you from taking risks, it stops you from dreaming, from growing, from the beginning again. Many people think that starting over belongs to the young. That reinvention is something for 20-year-olds with time to spare. But the truth is, starting over has nothing to do with age. It has everything to do with courage. Courage to imagine a different way of living, even if the path behind you is long. Courage to rewrite the next page, no matter how the last one ended. Think about it. How many people do you know who stayed stuck in a life that no longer fit simply because they thought they had to? They stay in a town, a relationship, a habit, a routine, not because it brings joy, but because change feels too far gone. But nothing is ever too far gone. You can start over emotionally. You can choose to let go of old pain. You can begin again physically, with small steps toward better health. You can start over socially by making one new connection. You can even start over spiritually by returning to what once gave you meaning or discovering something new entirely. Starting over doesn't require a grand gesture. You don't have to move to a new country or change your name. Sometimes, starting over is as simple as waking up tomorrow and deciding to do one thing differently. One small act that breaks the cycle. One choice that says, I'm not done yet. I once met a woman who became a first-time volunteer at 78. Her husband had passed, her children had moved away, and she had spent 2 years barely leaving the house. One morning, she woke up and thought, I can't live like this anymore. She signed up to help at a local food pantry. That first week, she was terrified. But by the end of the month, she said she felt more alive than she had in years. Her story isn't rare, but it is brave. And it reminds us, starting over isn't about erasing your past. It's about honoring it by choosing not to stay stuck in it. So if you've been telling yourself, it's too late for me, please hear this, sir. It's not too late. It's never too late. As long as you are breathing, you are becoming. And that means you still have the power to begin again. Mistake 6. Living on autopilot and withdrawing from life. There comes a point in life when the days begin to blur. You wake up, make your coffee, sit in the same chair, follow the same routine, and go to bed wondering where the day went. You do it again the next day. And the next, it starts to feel safe, predictable. But slowly, something inside you begins to dim. Not because anything terrible has happened, but because nothing new has. That's the danger of autopilot. It makes life feel numb. And over time, you start to withdraw, not just from people, but from yourself, from ideas, from curiosity, from the desire to stretch or explore. You become someone who is simply getting through the day. And that is not living, that is surviving. The truth is, humans are not built for stillness. We are built for movement, for purpose, for connection. Even in our later years, the mind and heart need something to reach for. Not busyness for the sake of distraction, but real engagement. Even small things, especially small things. Without stimulation, the brain grows dull. The spirit becomes quiet. The body follows. But when you reintroduce even the smallest bit of novelty, trying a new recipe, walking a different path, calling someone unexpected, you wake something up inside. And that something is life, not in the dramatic, movie-style way, but in quiet moments that add color back into your day. I know it's tempting to withdraw, especially if you've experienced loss, illness, or the world just feels overwhelming. And yes, rest is important, but withdrawal is not rest. It's retreat. It's hiding from a life that's still calling to you. Let me ask you something gently. When was the last time you did something unfamiliar? When was the last time you challenged your mind, your heart, your body? Not to impress anyone, not to prove anything, just to feel awake again. Even something as small as changing the route of your evening walk can shift your mood. Reading a different kind of book, listening to music you've never heard, talking to someone outside your usual circle. These moments may seem small, but they break the pattern. They remind your brain that the world is still moving, and so are you. You don't have to fill every hour. But don't let every hour pass you by. Be intentional. Choose to engage with life, even if it's just one small thing a day. Because when you stop moving, life doesn't pause with you. It keeps going. And you deserve to go with it, not behind it. Don't let autopilot steal your final decades. You are still here. Make sure you're really here. Still tuned in and finding these insights useful. Comment number 6 to let me know you're here. And if you haven't joined us yet, please subscribe and turn on notifications so you can catch all our future content. Your support enables us to continue informing and inspiring. Mistake 7. Clinging to draining relationships. As we grow older, our social circles often shrink. Friends move, some pass away, and family becomes busier with their own lives. In that quiet space, many of us hold tighter to the relationships that remain, sometimes even when those relationships no longer bring us peace. We stay connected to people who leave us feeling drained, disrespected, or invisible, simply because we fear being alone. It's understandable. Loneliness can feel heavy. But here's what we often forget. Being around the wrong people can feel even lonelier than being by yourself. A conversation that leaves you anxious. A visit that feels more like duty than care. A phone call that brings more criticism than warmth. These moments chip away at your sense of worth. And yet, out of habit or guilt, you keep showing up. There's a deep belief many older adults carry that setting boundaries is selfish, that walking away is cruel. But protecting your energy is not cruelty. It's clarity, and clarity brings peace. Just because someone has been in your life for decades doesn't mean they deserve access to your heart forever. Time served is not the same as mutual respect. If a relationship only survives because you tolerate mistreatment or silence your needs, it is not love. It is fear disguised as loyalty. You deserve relationships that uplift you, that see you, that makes you feel safe, not small. And if those aren't available right now, it's okay to pause, to create space. Sometimes we need distance to remember our value. And from that place, new connections often find us, ones that match who we are becoming, not just who we used to be. Let me say this clearly. You are allowed to choose peace over history. You are allowed to grow beyond people who refuse to grow with you. And you are allowed to say, "This no longer works for me," without apology. Of course, not every difficult relationship needs to end. Some can shift, but only if both people are willing. You can start by speaking honestly, not with blame, but with truth. You might be surprised by how people respond when you stop playing the role they've always expected. But even if they don't change, you still can. And that's the point. You get to change. You get to protect your energy, your heart, your space, because those are sacred, especially now. You didn't come this far in life just to be a container for someone else's frustration. You came this far to feel free. And freedom often begins with a single word: enough. Mistake 8. Abandoning your spiritual life. There's a kind of emptiness that has nothing to do with loneliness or boredom. It's deeper than that. It's the quiet ache that comes when we lose touch with something greater than ourselves. For many older adults, that ache shows up when the spiritual part of life begins to fade, not by choice, but by neglect. Maybe you used to pray, or meditate, or simply sit in nature and feel connected to something beyond the noise. Maybe faith was once a comfort to you, or curiosity, or wonder. But as the years passed, and life got harder, that part of you slowly drifted away. You told yourself you didn't have time, or you didn't need it anymore. Or maybe life brought pain that made you question everything. Loss, illness, disappointment, they can shake the foundation of our beliefs. And without realizing it, you began living only on the surface. Going through the motions, taking care of your body, your home, your schedule, but not your soul. But here's the thing. The soul doesn't stop needing care just because we grow older. If anything, it needs more attention, more stillness, more truth, more space to ask the questions that don't have quick answers. Like, what am I here for now? Or, what does peace look like at this stage of my life? Your spiritual life doesn't have to look like anyone else's. It doesn't have to involve religion or rules. It simply needs to be yours. A place inside you that feels honest, alive, and rooted. A place where you can rest from the noise of the world and remember that you are more than just your name, your history, or your age. Spiritual connection isn't about having all the answers. It's about staying open. It's about wonder, gratitude, reflection, and yes, even surrender. Learning to let go of the things you can't control and to find meaning in the things you can. You can reconnect through prayer, through silence, through writing in a journal, through walking in nature without distraction, through lighting a candle in the dark, or simply by asking, what still matters to me? When you reconnect with your spirit, you don't become someone new. You remember who you've always been. The part of you that was never broken, never too old, never too late. So if you've let your spiritual life grow silent, this is your invitation to return. Not with guilt, but with grace. Your soul has been waiting, not to judge you, but to welcome you home. Anyone still watching and appreciating these insights? A simple number 8 below tells me you're getting value. Mistake 9. Believing there's nothing left to discover. Perhaps the most subtle mistake of all is believing that everything worth discovering has already passed you by. That the big moments are over. That surprise belongs to the young. That wonder is something you outgrow. You may not say it out loud, but you feel it, like a quiet resignation. You stop expecting new friendships, new experiences, new insights. You stop expecting to be moved. And so, life begins to flatten. The colors fade. You walk past beauty without noticing it. You hear laughter but feel distant from it. You watch the days pass without any real sense of curiosity. And you begin to think, maybe this is just how the rest of my life will be. But what if that belief is the only thing standing between you and something extraordinary? Discovery doesn't require youth. It requires attention. It requires presence. You can discover something new in a book you've never read, in a path you've never walked, in a conversation with someone you never thought to talk to. You can even discover something new in yourself, in your thoughts, in your feelings, in how you respond to the world around you today. Some of the most powerful awakenings come not in our 20s, but in our 70s and 80s, because they're born of deeper awareness, of gratitude, of lived wisdom, of being able to say, I've seen so much, and I still want to see more. The danger of thinking there's nothing left to discover is that you stop participating in your own life. You become a bystander, a watcher, a quiet presence on the edge of your own story. But you were not made to fade. You were made to keep unfolding. So let yourself be surprised. Let yourself explore. Let yourself fall in love with something new, a place, a sound, a moment, even a part of yourself you'd forgotten. You don't need to chase big adventures. Sometimes the most beautiful discoveries happen in your own backyard, in your own mind, in the stillness of simply paying attention. It's not too late to be moved, to be amazed, to feel wonder again. You just have to look up. Final thought. You've made it through a long journey already. You've endured more than most people know. And yet here you are, still breathing, still becoming, still capable of choosing what the rest of your life will feel like. Maybe some of these mistakes felt familiar. Maybe some were hard to hear. That's okay. This video isn't about shame. It's about awakening. It's about reminding you that your life is not on pause, and it's certainly not over. There is still dignity to reclaim, joy to feel, peace to experience, but no one will hand it to you. Not your children, not society, not time, only you. Only you can choose to stop surviving and start living again. And it doesn't have to happen all at once. Real change begins in small, quiet ways. It begins when you decide, gently, courageously, that you're worth it, that your story is still unfolding, and that the next chapter can feel different from the last. So take one honest step forward, whatever that means for you, and keep choosing to show up, not perfectly, just fully. If something in this video spoke to you, I'd love to hear what it was. Leave a comment below. You never know who might be comforted by your words. And if you know someone, maybe a friend, a parent, even a neighbor, who needs this message, send it to them. Sometimes all it takes is one small reminder to change the direction of a life. And if you'd like more videos like this, gentle, honest, and made with care, subscribe to the channel. We're building a space where aging isn't something to fear, but something to embrace, where every stage of life is honored, especially this one. You're not alone in this journey. We're walking it together.